What's up, everybody? Welcome to another exciting show for Disclosure TV. I don't know if it's exciting or not. It may be. I think it's exciting. So, what's up, everybody? Big news story for today is I haven't done a news story on it yet, but it kind of got me by surprise. So, it's about whether Ruth Bader Ginsburg, our Supreme Court Justice, is still alive. A lot of people do not think that she is alive at all. And the main topic of it is that people think that, or the main reason that people don't think she is alive is because she hasn't been seen out in public for about the last month and a half. And she did have surgery. She had some cancer removed. She had fallen and broken some ribs previously before that, and ever since then she's been MIA. The papers have stated that she's just been at home recuperating, and that's basically all, that is, and that she's been at home and she's been filling out paperwork and all that. Well, last month, or about a month and a half ago, I'd say, probably, Fox News mistakenly aired a graphic for Ruth Bader Ginsburg, saying that she had, basically airing a graphic stating that she had died. You're looking at it right here. These are the Fox graphics. Says Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, 1933 to 2019. It actually has one on Facebook, it looks like. Maybe. They accidentally aired that graphic, and people don't take that as a coincidence. And Fox apologized for it. But after that, people started noticing that she hadn't been seen at all. And they want to know where she's at. Some of the conspiracy theorists think that she is in fact dead. And why does that make a difference? Why do conspiracy theorists think that? If you take a look right here, it says Trump allies think Ruth Bader Ginsburg is hiding or dead. It said it was started on QAnon, which is supposed to be a maybe anonymous. QAnon did come out and say they were fake. This is where this, it's not where the image started out at, but this is where this, where the conspiracy started out at. So it says Trump allies think Ruth Bader Ginsburg is hiding out or dead. It started on QAnon. Well, we all know that she was, she did have broken ribs, and she did have cancer and was recovering from that. But why does it make a difference on why we haven't seen her? Okay, so since Trump has been elected, he has gotten to choose two Supreme Court justices. He's got his own picks in there, and more or less, it seems like the Democrats do not want that to happen. Or it's possible that they don't want him to pick a third Supreme Court justice, because these are lifelong positions. These, they're not voted on. The president picks them. Yes, sure, some of the Senate does have a say. They do have a confirmation hearing. but majority of the time, whoever the president picks is who goes in. So Trump has already picked two, and the rumor is that Democrats do not want him to pick a third. So, and you, as everybody knows, being Supreme Court justice is a big deal, because they overturn laws, they make laws, they overturn. Over the last 2 years with the Trump presidency, the Democrats have banged on the door of the Supreme Court every day, saying stop this, stop that. He can't do this, he can't do that. Probably the most in history has the Supreme Court decided over executive order and or the executive branch of our government, and actually told them what to do. And the Democrats don't like that, and so they think that it's not conspiracy theorists whether you're a Republican or whether you're a Democrat. No political party aside is not one or the other that's making the conspiracy theories. It's just the conspiracy theorists in general think that she is either hiding or she is missing. So, as you know, she didn't show up at the State of the Union last night. Neither did several others. Several other justices didn't show up. I think maybe 2 of them did. So, after Fox News did apologize for putting that up, my question is why did they have that graphic? Why did they have that graphic up that day, messing with it, and why did it accidentally get dropped into Fox News on live air? Or air, where they dropped it into air, their show live, and put it up and said it was an accident. And which is weird. A lot of people said it was weird. It takes a lot to put up those type of graphics. There's a lot that goes into that. You have to make the graphics, transfer graphics over, put it online. The producer has to put it on. It may have been an accident, but not an accident. That's what I think. And I never even gave a thought about it until last night or the night before. And what gave me a thought about is, where is she? Is the Washington Post actually put up not this one. So the Washington Post actually put up after the conspiracy theorists came out, the Washington Post put out an article talking about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and what she was doing. So the Post, I've never seen this. They actually have a section for Ruth Bader Ginsburg in there. I don't want to get that. There's an article that I want to show. Give me 1 second. Okay, here it is. So, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, this was only published in Washington Post, which even further makes it seem like something's going on, because the Washington Post is fairly known to be anti-Trump. It is known to be the Democrats' go-to newspaper, and CNN. So this article was brought out February 4th. So it says, Ruth Bader Ginsburg makes first public appearance since cancer surgery. All right, so this picture was actually taken November 30th. This is not a picture of her at a public appearance. And there's another picture here that is not from the public appearance. So it says, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg on Monday night made her first public appearance since undergoing cancer surgery in December, attending a celebration of her life presented in song. The 85-year-old justice attended a production of the notorious RBG in song at the National Museum of Women in the Arts in Washington. The program about Ginsburg's life and the law was created and performed by the Ginsburg's daughter-in-law, the soprano Patrice Michaels, and presented for high school students by the National Constitution Center. Ginsburg did not speak, and many in the crowd did not know she was there. Did not know she was there, even though it was presented to her by her daughter for life, and nobody knew she was there. Okay, fair enough. She sat in the back, and most saw her only as they left the performance. Michaels did not announce her presence. That's kind of odd to say those sort of things. I'm just saying, why would you need to tell people those specific things? I'm just saying. That's like they're trying to prove that somebody's there. Ginsburg had not made public appearance since undergoing a pulmonary lobectomy December 21st after doctors discovered cancer nodules, blah, 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 blah. Some on the extreme political right had insisted that the justice's ailments were graver than the Supreme Court acknowledged, suggesting it would be an ominous sign if she skipped President Trump's State of the Union address Tuesday night. Actually, it would be more like par for the course. Ginsburg did not attend either of Trump's previous speeches to Congress. And actually, hold on just 1 second. That is not the same. That is not the same one. This is not the same. This is not the one that come out. This has actually been changed. Yeah, this is not the right one, because the one that come out stated that the interview was that all this information was given to in the first part of the article right here, where you see me highlighting in this first part. It stated that her son had told the Washington Post all this. This is the right article, but her son had actually told the Washington Post the information. So this is not right. This has been changed since yesterday. It actually said her son had told the Washington Post that she had, yeah, right here. Ginsburg was spoken with filmmakers on blah, blah, blah. Her son, James, who was at Monday's night performance, said Ginsburg walks a mile a day and is working with her trainer again. So that part right there about her son, James, that part right there was actually up here at the top. Not that part per se, but it said that her son, James, had told them that she was at this notorious RBG song, and that's actually the part that got me interested in all this. That has been changed. I'm about 100% certain that has been changed. 100% certain. I know it's been changed. So, yeah, that's been changed. I actually posted it on my Twitter, when I saw it, when I read it. So, let me find out if I can find it again. And the article is completely gone. The article that I tweeted out last night is gone. So, So, it's showing that the last tweet I made was 6 days ago. I tweeted it out last night about the article and had the article with it. And now that's been deleted. That article has for real been deleted. It sure has. So yeah, the article right here is incorrect. This article right here has been changed. 100% positive. Because I retweeted the article with a comment and it's been changed. Her son, though, I know I'm just dumbfounded right now. The article actually stated that up at the top when it first started talking right here, it stated that her son had spoke with reporters and told them about her attending the production. That's who actually told the Washington Post reporter, and that's who he spoke with. And it stated that in the first few lines of this. And that's one of the biggest points I was going to make. And it's gone. Her son James, who it said her son James, who spoke with reporter at the top of it. That's what was on the top of this. And no, I'm not joking. I'm 100% positive because I didn't know about any of this until last night. Not about her. I never even gave two thoughts about it, her missing at all. So that's been changed. Definitely. The wording. They changed that. So anyway, last night it said that her son had told the Washington Post in an interview all this stuff about her going to the notorious RBG and song and going to that theater. Well, it just so happens, and this was on Monday night. Okay, so I'll even show you that. There was actually no event for Monday night, which was the 4th. There was no event. There was no event for Ruth Bader at all. There was no events for the only events. We'll view the full calendar here. The only events that were listed were these right here, which is February the 6th, 2019. View past events. It says no reservation required. February 3rd, February 2nd. There was no events for February the 4th. 0. It doesn't say. I'm sure they were open on February the 4th. But there's no events for the National Museum of Women for Ruth Bader Ginsburg for high school students who watched, and there's been no media coverage of that. There's been no media, no paparazzi outside of her home showing pictures of her leaving. There's no pictures of the event in question. There's no, and I'm showing it to you right here. I can't click on an event if it's not there, so I can't show you pictures that I evidently can't get. And I knew this last night, but there was no mention of it. There's no media coverage of none of it. No pictures of. No pictures have surfaced from high school students that were evidently the ones being entertained, that were the crowd. It was told, actually my wife brought this up, it was told that no cameras or anything was allowed. They're high school kids. They're going to have cameras. They're going to have cell phones. Some of it had to get leaked out. It didn't. There's no media coverage of this event. There's no media coverage. There's nothing. We have one newspaper article with the Washington Post saying that she was at this event. That's it. Nothing else. There's been no proof that the event even happened. I just showed you that. They had events, but not on February the 4th. And that's it. You'd like to think that they would show that event on here with Ruth Bader Ginsburg being there, even or at least talking about an event that happened on that day, seeing as how she's high profile. You'd like to think that she was there. But there's no proof that that event even happened. There's no proof that she was there. There's no proof that she left the house. You know paparazzi's going to catch that. You know paparazzi's going to follow her to the event, take pictures of her there. You know they will. Especially as big as this conspiracy theory is, which is pretty damn big because, because the Washington Post is actually made this one of their main stories. Made this one of their main stories. So, after the fact, the next day, so this is the next day. This is, or 2 days later, February 6th at 5:45 a.m., Ruth Bader Ginsburg was seen in public Monday. Conspiracy theorists still insist she's dead. She was not seen in public. Nobody saw her in public. Only the Washington Post said she was seen in public. And only by apparently one man now. Robert Barnes has been a reporter and editor at the Washington Post for more than 30 years. For the past 12 years, he has covered the Supreme Court. He said he was there at this event. He was there. He covered this event. Nobody else did. Not one person. Evidently, they was invited. However, like I said, no cameras were allowed in this event. No recording devices. It was only for high school students. Which high school? What high school was there? I'm sure it was probably somebody in Washington. Which Washington high school was there? It says, a falsehood has been spreading in dark corners of the internet that Ginsburg is dead. And in the hours after Barnes published his report, conspiracy theorists pelted him with their doubt mongering. Photos were not allowed at the event. No one. Oh, so this is where my wife got that from. Okay. So one of the doubters emailed Barnes 21 questions about Ginsburg's appearance, the size of her security detail, and gender they were. For example, telling Barnes that if he did not answer every single one of them, he would sign this article was not to be believed. It would be a sign this article was not to be believed. Ginsburg did not attend the State of the Union address Tuesday night. Neither did Justice Clarence Thomas, blah, blah, blah. But the conspiracy theory that Ginsburg is dead may draw more oxygen from the 85-year-old justice's absence. Conspiracy theories about political figures are not new. So, this guy, this reporter, is saying that Robert Barnes, which was the reporter of this one right here, which has been changed, by the way. This first part has been changed because he had an interview only with her son, because I'm guessing that media outlets wasn't allowed there. So I don't know if that's for true or not, but I'm telling you, this right here, that right there, what you're looking at, has been changed 100%. So, as I showed you, there's no calendar of events. Here, I'll click on it again. View full calendar. So, past event, I'll even zoom in on it for you. Past events, February 6, 2019. As you can see, nothing. February 27th, it goes forward in time. View past events. February 3rd, it skips the 5th and the 4th. So no events there. No mention of Ruth Bader Ginsburg being there. No mention of that event happening. Could have been a closed event, of course. But you can't. The one thing that is media is you can't outrun the camera. That's the one thing. And they have actually, this is a huge thing that Ruth Bader Ginsburg has been missing for a while. It's a huge, big thing. As you can see, the Washington Post is even covering this. So it's a huge, big thing. And still, and only one reporter has seen Ruth Bader Ginsburg. One. And it was a reporter from the Washington Post. And that's the problem that people have with this story. Not to mention, within the story, this reporter reported on it, seen her there with his own eyes. That's what it says. He was there, seen her, that He's seen it with his own eyes, and seen her with his own eyes. No pictures were taken. Nothing. No evidence that. The only evidence that any of this happened was provided by the Washington Post. That's it. Now, as far as other evidence popping up, all the other media companies base their story, in which they say in their stories that their stories are based on this post right here, or on this post. So their post also states that the Washington Post says that she made her first public appearance. And it just so happens that that they reported it in a time where a conspiracy theory about her going missing seems to be an issue. So it pops up. It gives no evidence that she's there. It shows no picture she's alive. It shows no evidence. There's no evidence that the event happened. There's no evidence showing Ruth on the National Museum of Women and Arts website. It does not show the event under the calendars. It does not show pictures of the children. It doesn't show anything. The only evidence we have that Ruth Bader Ginsburg made a public appearance is through this article and through one person. Nobody else. Nobody else seen her. Not to mention that this article itself has been changed. The article itself was based on an interview. The original one that I saw last night was based on an interview that this guy had with Ruth Bader's son. At the very first part of this, it said that her son told the reporter this, and this about the National Museum of Women and Arts. So the son actually gave the story to this reporter, and he was the interviewer, or the interviewee, and Robert Barnes was the interviewer. And that's actually how this story was last night, as of last night, and it's been changed. So the Washington Post decided to put up, Ruth Bader Ginsburg was seen in public Monday. Conspiracy theorists still insist she's dead. A story with no proof saying that someone is still alive is not proof. And to top it off, the media outlet that did the story is of controversy too, because this is mainly, the Washington Post is mainly to be Democratic liberal. And as most people know, not most people, but as conspiracy theorists know, this is the newspaper of the Democrats. And the conspiracy theory goes that the Democrats are hiding the death, or is hiding Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Sorry, I got acid reflux really bad. It's killing me. Like, it's hurting pretty bad. My stomach is killing me. So, there's no proof here that, there's only proof of one, even in this story, even after they redone the story, this one, there's still no proof that she was there. There's still no proof the event happened. There's still no proof. There's only the proof of this one man. That's it. As most people know, do you think he's telling the truth? I mean, all this conspiracy stuff has been going on through the Washington Post. The Washington Post has been part of all this. And there's only one man from the Washington Post that spoke with them. I can't believe it. There's more evidence of her not being in public than there is of her being in public, basically based on the lack of publicity that is happening within public. Nobody has caught a picture of her, yet she's going out and doing stuff. Now, the article in one of the other newspapers, which it was the first article I read, and that article was Newsweek, and it based their article on this, just like all the other outlets did, based their article on this article, or on the public appearance article. So that's how I tracked it back to the Washington Post and the original source. And once I read this original source, I was like, well, that's not evidence that she was there at all. Just because one person talked to her, and that person was her son, and her son told the reporter all this stuff. That don't make a bit of sense to me, that's proof that somebody is still alive. Now, if y'all think that's crazy, you're probably like, a lot of people are like, that's crazy. That is so crazy to think that somebody's dead and they're trying to hide it. And you're probably like, it would be too hard to hide a high profile death, would it? Would it be hard? I'm actually going to show you how easy it is to hide a high profile death. First of all, not many people know when it's hours, days before people even know that a high profile death has occurred. A celebrity, a president, or the people around them release that information to the news media, and then it's release that information to the news media themselves, because no only people in the family knows that they've died, especially with a high profile one. So there's one way, besides a family not sharing that they did die, but there is one way to stop people from knowing that a high profile death occurred. I did a piece of a little story on this in another video. So there's a such thing called newswire services. There's also such thing called a news embargo. Okay, so you're like, I never heard of any of this stuff. I'm going to show you what a newswire service is. So a newswire service, list of wire services. So these are companies that are newswire services. There's about 12 of them. People use the top 4. Okay, so these are newswire services. That's the list of wire services. So here's one. I'll show you this one. So newswire services are big business and are used by companies and PR agencies to spread news stories to journalists, bloggers, and online. These services often make much of the size of their journalist database and offer their ability to reach these journalists as a key selling point. So how journalists use man, I wish I could find that other article. So what newswire services, first to clarify, when we say newswires, we mean press releases, feeds, or press release distribution services. These terms are often used interchangeably, and as one of your respondents pointed out, there's a clear distinction between services such as Reuters, PA, and Bloomberg, which carry original articles by journalists and press releases. However, Reuters is a newswire company. They are newswire services. So, man, let me... okay, so what a newswire service is newswire services, people send, they do release media. It's what companies use to release information that they want the public to know. So all these newswire, so if I say I wanted to release information to the public and it was a big deal, or it was a big deal, I would send my press release to a newswire service. They would then, with information saying when to release it, how to release it, who to release it to, every stipulation I wanted to put on there, I could. Those stipulations are also called news embargoes. So here, let me try this one. Newswire is defined as a wire service that electronically provides up-to-date information to the media about breaking news, issues, and events. How newswire works. A number of people in the news profession, including editors and journalists, are assigned to cover up-to-the-minute breaking news across the country. A newswire service does not deliver news to consumers, only to newspaper companies. Technology, so how I said a while ago that large companies use these to release just about all the news stations or news media outlets in the United States use newswire services, along with companies such as Apple, such as Microsoft, banks, any company, you name it, they send every bit of information to a newswire service and they distribute it from there. So the newswire services do also sell that information, so they can also sell those headlines to a single journalist or a single media outlet or anything. So let me find out. So basically, it's a money maker for all news goes through a newswire service. So, although Press Association provides news stories written by journalists, it allows companies and PR agencies to pay for release distribution. So all these companies, all these companies that want to release their information, and this information is, it's information that could change the stock market. It's information that could change the economy, and sometimes headlines that can change anything, and they're released at a certain time, because if they don't, they could cause big problems. So you're talking about people knowing how the orange crop is doing beforehand. If you knew how pork bellies were doing beforehand, and you decided, hey, I got that insider information, I'm going to make myself rich off of it. That's why they have these, and that's why they release the information to certain people, and why the information is told to be released at a certain time, because information like this can change the world. It can change whole economies. It can change the United States. It can turn a rich man, a poor man, into a rich man in about half a freaking second. So that's why they also have news embargoes. So what is a news embargo? A news embargo in journalism and a public relations, a news embargo or press embargo is a request or requirement by a source that the information or news provided by the source not to be published until a certain date or certain conditions have been met. So when, say, Microsoft sends a headline saying that their quarter was better, their third quarter was better than they expected, and they didn't want it released until they was ready. Well, they placed a news embargo on it, and then the Newswire service, they send that information to the Newswire service that they want released, and says, hey, I don't want this released until this point in time. And actually there are federal laws on that information, because that information is sometimes very, very volatile. Like I said, it could make a rich man a poor man. It could make a poor man a rich man. It could destroy a company. If you had these headlines before it was released, then I mean, really, you could become a millionaire, or you could become homeless with this information, basically. So an example of an embargo being deliberately broken occurred on 19th July 2017. Piers Morgan actually broke an embargo and announced a deal that BBC was earning $150,000 annually. He announced the details on Twitter. His Twitter account about an hour earlier than the reports indicated time of publication. He accused his actions by falsely describing it as a scoop. Okay, so based on actually, you know, the old saying that the United States, that the president knows the news the day before it happens. It's actually true, because the government has laws on news embargoes, and they have laws on the Newswire services. So actually, it is possible for the president to know what those headlines are the day before. It's, you know, with the information that Newswire services get, you could probably control the world just about. You can make money. You can send. You could probably send. Let's just say you can send Elon Musk into a halfway house if you had the information that the information that Newswire services had. Sorry, excuse me. So now me showing you that, the understanding is that if an embargo is broken by reporting before then, the source will retaliate by restricting access to further information by journalists or their publication, giving them a long-term disadvantage relative to more cooperative outlets. So embargoes are usually arranged in advance as gentlemen's agreements. However, sometimes publicists will send embargoed press releases to the newsrooms unsolicited in hopes that they will respect the embargo date. There are laws for embargoes for all this, like I said. So how does that work with, how could they use that what's that have to do with the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg? So how that works is if a family decided that they wanted no press outlet whatsoever, if they themselves could keep RBG's death within the family and nobody said anything, they could actually embargo the news of her death and basically tell no news outlet, or tell the newswire, send that information to a newswire service. That newswire service is probably the only people who know whether she is or isn't alive. But they can also say, do not make this information public. Do not give it to any other news outlet into a certain date and time. So the fact that her death could not be hidden is total bullcrap, because it is possible to do with a news embargo. So yes, you can hide her. You can hide a high-profile death such as hers with newswire services and embargoes, because the government does have laws on all that. They do have laws on it that's strict, and they do it. They are strict about it. Like I said, the news that the newswire services get and the information that they get can ruin people. It could ruin a company. It could basically it's like having Marty McFly's whatchamacallit, that book he had that Biff got. Basically, I'm just saying the whatchamacallit, the almanac that he had. Basically, that's what a newswire service is an almanac, because they have all that information beforehand, just like an almanac does. So yes, you could hide a high profile death such as RBG's by using a newswire service and a news embargo. If you tell a news company that, and you accompany it with a news embargo, and you say, hey, nobody is to release this information until I say so, or until this date, or until this time, or until, like it said, or until certain conditions are met. Yes, you could hide her death by a news embargo. It's true. That being said, is Ruth Bader Ginsburg still alive? Is in fact her death being is her death being hidden? Is she being hidden so Trump can't get another Supreme Court justice? It's high probability. The fact that only one news outlet, one news media outlet that is known to be associated with the Democrat Senate that they release their information to, is the only one that knows and has seen RBG alive, is the only one that has a story saying that she did appear in public, and only that at that event. I didn't think about any of this until last night, and I didn't do any research until today. And what I showed you, and what the stuff I showed you, is common sense, man. It is. It's common sense stuff. It's common sense proof. It's easy proof. There's a possibility that they are hiding Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death, and they're using a news embargo to do it. It's a possibility. And it's a possibility that they are doing it to stop Trump from picking a third Supreme Court justice. It's a possibility. and I've given you the proof that it is possible. A lot of people don't know that news embargoes exist. A lot of people don't know that newswire services exist. And I done a video on that when I first started this. And that's what I like doing, is research. So, but all right, people, I gave you evidence that it's probably true that she's either being hidden or she's probably dead. One of those two. Until we actually see her come out in public, moving her arms and headed towards Washington, D.C., or headed towards her office. I doubt there's any proof going to come out. I would say, if anything, that over the next, I'd say right now the Democrats are trying to find their next Supreme Court justice. If this is true, they're trying to find the Supreme Court justice. And I think that not long after they find out who it is, who their next justice is going to be, if the Democrats can get one, then after they find another Supreme Court justice, then they'll announce her death. And that's how it's going to work out. They'll find the Supreme Court justice. I mean, they won't tell you they found it, but that's how you'll know they found one. Once they announce her death, that's when you'll know the Democratic Senate has found their next Supreme Court justice. Then they'll announce her death. All right, everybody. If you like my videos, comment, subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification button. Just do it. I mean, it's an awesome button. It does wonderful things for people, you know. All right. Peace out.